Dr. Matt Worthington, clinical psychologist, coming to you from Brisbane, Australia. Got my citizenship today, got my citizenship certificate today, I should say, and came through the post. Really, really happy with that. Had my virtual ceremony last week, and yeah, it went really well. I'm so proud. Been here for 11 years now, so it's been a long wait. Really appreciate living in Australia. It's like paradise. So basically the subject of my short talk today is why do sociopathic narcissists hijack certain terms like woke, or call themselves a visionary, but because they're not really woke, right? Anyone who is really woke wouldn't actually call themselves woke. It's like someone who's a hero, a genuine hero, doesn't call themselves a hero, right? So it's someone who's woke, really genuinely woke, would know that you can't actually be woke. It's a journey. It's a journey, right? Someone who is genuinely woke, or on the way to wakefulness, I should say. It's a never ending. We never actually get there, right? But it's basically developing more and more self-awareness, insight, and compassion to other people. This is the journey, really. It's developing the insight, self-awareness, able to self-regulate, being accountable for our own feelings. So no one offends me, right? It's my body that reacts. My body reacts to a particular situation. My body's reacting because of past experiences which have happened to me, and I'm viewing those I'm projecting those past experiences onto this current situation. My body also reacts because it's a survival machine, and if it feels threatened, then obviously I'm going to have a reaction. That's normal, but that's my body, right? If I'm calm, if I work on myself and calm myself down and know how to regulate myself, I'm going to be much less offended, much less triggered. That's not to say I won't be triggered. That's not to say I shouldn't be assertive and defend myself and protect myself. But I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about this offense culture where people get offended, right, because their feelings have been triggered. Well, if that's ridiculous, blaming other people for something which is going on inside my body. I'm responsible for what happens inside my body. Nobody else is. Nobody else is. And anyone who calls themselves woke and at the same time is putting responsibility for their own feelings onto other people, that's not woke. That is not woke. In fact, that's the opposite. That's asleep. That's coma, to be honest with you. Right? That is the opposite end of woke. Definitely. Now, like I said, I'm not saying this gives license to someone to be disrespectful to me. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about in a normal, regular situation. If I get triggered, then that's my issue. Nobody else's issue. Nobody else's issue. Right? And I take responsibility for my feelings, as long as it's a normal, regular situation. I'm not talking about someone coming up to me in my face and swearing at me and all that stuff. That's not normal. That's not normal. I'm talking about just a conversation between people, right? If I get triggered and it's a respectful conversation, then that's my issue. That's my issue. If I get offended, that's my issue, nobody else's issue. And in that situation, my feelings are my responsibility. My responsibility. Blaming other people, trying to guilt other people for my triggering in a regular situation, then that is the opposite of woke. Now, obviously, I'm going to react if someone comes right up to my face, and I'd have a normal reaction. I'd want to protect myself. I am not talking about that. I'm not. The other day, I was watching a guy on YouTube, and he was talking about a social democrat debate club in a university. And they even have to have trigger breaks because a person gets triggered because of something someone has said in a debate. And they have to have they have to apologize and do all this thing if a person gets triggered. It's a debate. It's a debate. If you don't want to debate, then don't debate. But I've got to have a trigger break and all this. That's just control. That is control. It's like political correctness. It's control. If I'm offended, is control. It's all control, control, control. And it's controlled by triggering guilt in the other person. Because a sociopathic narcissist knows how to control people by triggering their guilt, whips them with their own guilt. Only decent people have guilt. Decent people have guilt. Sociopathic narcissists don't have guilt. That's how they're able to do what they do. They don't have guilt. Guilt's like a handbrake to stop you from doing something bad. The sociopathic narcissist doesn't have guilt, and that's why they're able to do the things that they do. And they'll often take legitimate causes and veil themselves and camouflage themselves in these legitimate causes. They don't give a fuck about the cause. They just want to seem legitimate. So, it's like a barrier. And so if they feel again attacked, right, even though they might not be being attacked, they'll say, oh, if you attack me, you're actually attacking these vulnerable people I represent. They don't give a fuck about the vulnerable people. They're just using them as a shield. That's all they're doing. Right? And it's ridiculous. Like the stuff at Chaz or Chop or Chips or whatever it's called now. Like, before they went in, it was all against guns and no IDs and no borders. And what's happened? They've got guns, they've got borders, they've got ID checks, they've got all, because the sociopathic narcissists, they don't give a fuck about the legitimate cause. All they want is power, status, all of that stuff. They do not give a fuck about the legitimate cause. They don't. So, and they'll call themselves a visionary. And again, they act like cult leaders. Cult leaders do this. Sociopathic narcissists do this. They call themselves visionaries. A real visionary wouldn't call themselves a visionary. Just like a real hero wouldn't call themselves a hero. Just like a real woke person wouldn't say they were woke. Right? A visionary wouldn't do that, wouldn't call themselves a visionary. They might say, I'm interested in philosophy or, the arts, or I'm interested in thinking about thinking, or knowledge, and sometimes I like to make predictions, but that it's my predictions based on the past and what have you, science, hypotheses, things like this. But they don't call themselves visionaries. They don't. A true visionary doesn't do that, right? If the population want to refer to the individual as a visionary, fair enough. If the population want to refer to the individual as a hero, fair enough. But again, that's generally what happens with authentically woke people, authentic heroes, authentic visionaries. They're not really bothered about the titles. They're not bothered about the labels. The reason a sociopathic narcissist is bothered about the labels and wants to have the labels is because it makes them sound important. And if they sound important, whatever comes out, they believe that whatever comes out of the mouth is important. So therefore it must be listened to, and it must be believed, or taken as this is the right way, and what you say is wrong, and so the sociopathic narcissist having this big title is right, and we must do what the woke person says. No, not at all, because that type of person will take you down a blind alley, and you will suffer, and that's exactly what's happening. Because they don't give a fuck about being a compassionate person or all that stuff. No, not at all. They often end up in positions as well that make them look really good, credible. Like in the church, they become bishops or whatever, or they'll become psychologists, doctors, lawyers, any occupation, any sector of society that is perceived as credible. You will find sociopathic narcissists in there, right? But they don't do the work. They haven't got a clue. They're often incompetent, and they cause all kinds of disasters in morale, to be honest with you, because all they're after is power. And they're fake. Okay, so if you come across someone who calls themselves a woke person, be careful. Be very careful. Okay, see ya.